What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and I just don't see any cause for all of this insane heaping of praise on Wonder Woman 1984. The movie was a unmitigated mess, a fine watch, especially if you were already paying for HBO Max. But if you had paid the cost to see the film, or God forbid, paid $20 to try and support your local theater, it was not so good. By the way, remember, support your locally owned theaters. Remember that AMC is owned by China, and it's just worth remembering that. Now, Wonder Woman 1984's weekend box office drop continues, and it looks like it's lost nearly all of its steam. Wonder Woman 1984 slips to 5 million in the second weekend, nears muted 120 million globally. Now, again, it's difficult to kind of place blame, or use the box office numbers to kind of judge something, because most of the theaters aren't open, and on top of that, many people just don't want to go to the theaters. They don't feel safe going back to the theaters. On top of that, many people have gotten used to just streaming and all this kind of stuff. The superhero sequel has now earned 28 million domestically and 90 million overseas for a muted worldwide total of 118 million. In a controversial move, Warner's made the Christmas Day tentpole available same day on HBO Max. Wonder Woman fell 67% in its second weekend of plays domestically, a hefty drop for the holiday weekend, even with everyone locked at home. The Croods New Age, for example, was up 25% in its sixth weekend at 2.2 million. Overseas, one bright spot for Wonder Woman is Australia, where the film took in a stellar 4 million in its second frame for a total of 11 million. The sequel has not done so well in some Asian markets, including China, and it's showing promise, though, in Latin America. Elsewhere at the box office, I don't care. We're talking about Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman 1984 box office 2 drops 67% as HBO Max glitches continue. Warner Brothers' theatrical release of Wonder Woman, which is available on HBO Max for the next 21 days, grossed 5 million, down nearly 70% for a running domestic box office of a whopping 28 million. From that kind of drop, it sounds like whatever movie-going public exists out there has finally got the message that they can see the movie at a cheaper price for the family at home on HBO Max. Warner's has yet to provide any hard numerical details on the spike in subscribers or viewerships for Wonder Woman 1984, as opposed to other picks respecting a theatrical window. Despite the awful New Year's weekend, some picks saw weekend-to-weekend gains in their grosses, like Monster Hunter, Fatale, Croods 2, Pinocchio, Come Play, or decent holds with promising blah blah blah. While Warner is banging the drum of a global total now at 118 million, let's face it, it would be significantly higher had the studio waited this tentpole out to a healthier time in the marketplace. Box office analysts believe Patty Jenkins movies will fizzle at around 40 million in domestic marketplace, where 60% of all 5.5 theaters are still closed. Warner's Tenet, with the number 2 chain Regal open during the majority of its run, halted at 57.9 million. A reminder that with fewer box office DMAs open, the majors are also holding on their usual tentpole marketing spend. Ultimately, I get it. I've said this since Jump Street. There's going to be people that just never go back to the movie theater. I will, but I know that there are a lot of people that won't. Now, I'll make my choices around trying to support smaller local theaters or locally owned theaters, but I'll still go. My wife just loves that popcorn too much. Well, it's already been reported that critics soured greatly on the movie, dropping the Rotten Tomatoes score from 89% certified fresh December 16th to currently 60% fresh. So has audience reaction, i.e. current B+ for sequel versus the picks A. Social media analyst relish mixed. Notice that DC's sequel recent social media chatter ranked a 4.5 out of 10 in its conversation meter. The convo before release was exceptional. My cat is meowing like crazy. I don't know why. But since the opening, chatter is wildly mixed, with questions about the exception of powers from the, quote, Dreamstone, the rebirth of Chris Pine's character to Kristen Wiig's transformation, review spots drill deeper about the pace of the storyline. Look, movies with two villains never really do well. I mean, there may be a few exceptions, but the fact that you already had Max Lord and then you brought in Kristen Wiig as a secondary villain didn't make any sense. Basically, you could have made the movie with either Max Lord or Kristen Wiig as the primary bad guy, and that's a movie. 2.5 hour slog fest where you could have cut basically the entire middle out. The idea that there's this cheeky clothes trying on scene that just didn't land. The opening of the movie, the gauntlet ran on way too long. The movie was not good. I mean, you may have liked it. And again, as I always say, I liked Paul Blart Mall Cop, okay? So I'm not some in-depth, film buff. But, I would say objectively, most people did not like this film. Now, I like Gal Gadot. I do. And I don't think there's much that she could have done. The idea, though, that she's out on damage control. Gal Gadot swears Wonder Woman 1984 villain Maxwell Lord is not Donald Trump. There's a bunch of articles out there where she's literally out there doing damage control. Wonder Woman 1984 star Gal Gadot denies Donald Trump-inspired new Maxwell Lord. But we know that it did. We know that the Pedro Pascal literally said it did. Here you have a cheesy infomercial host turned megalomaniac played by Star Wars The Mandalorian's Pedro Pascal. There were a lot of comparisons between Pascal's Maxwell Lord and outgoing president Donald Trump, but they are apparently just coincidences, as state both Pedro Pascal's and the film star Gal Gadot. Lies. They're both lying. What this is there is data that supporting people don't want to watch it because, maybe they don't want to watch Trump be disparaged. Why would you pay to see that when you could turn on any mainstream media outlet and see that for free, or any late night show? There are people that, don't want politics brought into the movie. Now, I will say that while there were 1,000,001, I mean, there's literally a scene where Max Lord is standing at the booth of the president, giving a speech, essentially as you'd have to be a moron to miss that they were desperately trying to make this Max Lord look like Trump. I mean, there's 0%. Now, it didn't ruin the movie. That's not why the movie was bad. Things like, gee, we fly to Egypt and we're here. We're going to hunt Max Lord. And then, he's just right there on the road. It's like, oh, here he is on the first place we look. What a coinky dink. Or, having Chris Pine be able to fly a fighter jet with no training whatsoever, which is absurd in and of itself. These are the things that ruin the movie. The idea that Wonder Woman's skills or powers appeared to disappear and reappear as needed for plot points. Poor editing, poor CGI. These are reasons that the movie wasn't very good. And why Hollywood keeps rewarding this crap is annoying. Patty Jenkins not only is getting a third Wonder Woman movie, but she's getting a Star Wars project. Why? Because she directed Monster 1,000,000 years ago. I mean, the first Wonder Woman was a great success, but now the second Wonder Woman sequel, literally the lowest rated DCEU movie ever. Wonder Woman's 1984 score on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes have fallen to the point that the DC film is now the worst rated in the extended universe. IMDb gives it a 5.6 out of 10 with 90,000 votes. That's lower than Birds of Prey, 6.1, The Squad, 6.0, formerly the lowest DCEU film, after over 496,000 user votes. On the flip side, the first Wonder Woman is the highest rated DCEU movie among fans, at 7.4. Shazam and Man of Steel are tied for 7. I thought Shazam was pretty good too. Good family story. There's a kind of a difference. Patty Jenkins wrote the second one, but didn't write the first one. That's kind of part of it. That is all of it, really. Rotten Tomatoes down to 60%. I even wonder what it's at now. I wonder if it's sunk even lower. That's the question. Are they even putting it on the homepage anymore? Now it's down to a 60. A 60. Audience score keeps it at a 74. Look, is the movie a 6 out of 10 for an average, like, hey, I'm just putting something on different to watch? I could see someone giving that score with a straight face. Is the movie a 2 or a 3? No, probably not. But the movie was very poor. Even the critics. By the way, understand that if the critics are giving this a 60%, with reviews like The Anti-Incredibles, Wonder Woman 84 takes no advantage from its 80s setup or double villain scheme, delivering a mindless story that steers too far away the tone set in the previous installment in the worst way possible. Meaningful representation consists of more than simply casting women and people of color. I mean, even the FCWs hate it. Gadot tries her best. Alas, she's been roped into a leading, unimaginative series of cliches. Nothing feels fresh. People aren't blaming Gal Gadot for this. They're just saying the movie was bad. Like, she's getting paid either way, so she doesn't care. But, you know, Patty Jenkins got rewarded almost immediately with a third installment, and she's got a Star Wars flick. Why? She hasn't earned that. But, hey, I'm sure it'll be average, too, because that's literally all Hollywood wants to put out these days. Average movies that mindless drones will pay their hard-earned dollars for and just consume. Continue to fight back by finding other ways to view these videos, or just, you know, going to your backlog, finding a DVD. Does the $4, $5 DVD bin still exist at Walmart? If it does, I bet you there's some good movies hiding in there. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.